The world is changing. For decades, the United States and its allies have dominated the global order. But now, a new group of countries is challenging the West's dominance. This group is known as BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries are home to billions of people and vast resources. They are also some of the fastest growing economies in the world. The rise of BRICS is one of the most important geopolitical developments of the 21st century. It has the potential to reshape the global balance of power. BRICS nations are increasingly cooperating on economic and political issues. They are also seeking to create their own institutions, such as the new development bank. The West is watching the rise of BRICS with a mix of anxiety and apprehension. Some experts believe that BRICS is a threat to Western interests. Others argue that BRICS presents an opportunity for cooperation. Only time will tell what the ultimate impact of BRICS will be. However, one thing is clear. The world is moving towards a more multipolar system. This means that power is becoming more diffuse. No single country or group of countries will be able to dictate the terms of the global order. The rise of BRICS is a symptom of this trend. It is a sign that the world is becoming more complex and interconnected. The BRICS nations are a diverse group. They have different histories, cultures, and political systems. However, they are united by a common goal: to challenge the Western-dominated global order. BRICS countries believe that the current system is unfair and biased against them. They want to create a more equitable and just world order, one in which their voices are heard and their interests are respected. The BRICS countries are using a variety of strategies to achieve their goals. One strategy is to increase their economic cooperation. They are doing this by boosting trade with each other and investing in each other's economies. For example, China has become a major investor in Africa, funding infrastructure projects and building factories. Another strategy is to create their own institutions. The most notable example of this is the new development bank. The NDB is a multilateral development bank that was established by the BRICS countries in 2014. It is headquartered in Shanghai, China. The NDB's mission is to finance infrastructure and sustainable development projects in emerging markets and developing countries. The BRICS countries are also working to increase their political cooperation. They are doing this by coordinating their positions on international issues and supporting each other's bids for leadership positions in international organizations. For example, the BRICS countries have all supported China's bid for a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. One of the key ways in which BRICS is challenging the West is by seeking to undermine the dominance of the US dollar. The dollar has been the world's reserve currency since the end of World War II. This gives the United States a great deal of economic and political power. For instance, it allows the US to run large trade deficits without facing a currency crisis. It also gives the US significant leverage in imposing sanctions on other countries. BRICS countries are trying to reduce their reliance on the dollar. They are doing this by conducting more trade in their own currencies. For example, China and Russia have signed a number of agreements to use their own currencies for bilateral trade. BRICS is also exploring the possibility of creating a common currency. This would be a major challenge to the dollar's dominance. The BRICS countries are also promoting the use of alternative payment systems. For example, China has developed its own cross-border payment system, known as CIPS. CIPS is an alternative to the SWIFT system, which is used for most international payments. The BRICS countries are also exploring the possibility of creating a BRICS payment system. The BRICS countries are also in a strong position to challenge the West because of their control over critical resources. For example, Russia is a major producer of oil and natural gas. China is a leading producer of rare earth metals, and Brazil is a major producer of agricultural products. The BRICS countries have already shown that they are willing to use their control over resources for political leverage. For example, in 2022, India halted wheat exports to prioritize supplies for its BRICS allies. This move came after Russia's invasion of Ukraine disrupted global wheat markets. The BRICS countries' control over resources gives them a significant advantage in the global economy. As demand for these resources continues to grow, the BRICS countries will be in a strong position to dictate the terms of trade. This could give them significant leverage over Western countries that are dependent on these resources. Despite their shared goals, the BRICS countries are not without their differences. there are a number of internal fractures that could prevent the bloc from achieving its full potential. One major challenge is the rivalry between China and India. The two countries have a long history of border disputes. They are also competing for influence in Asia. Another challenge is Russia's dependence on China. Western sanctions have made Russia more reliant on China for trade and investment. This has given China more leverage over Russia. For example, China has been able to buy Russian oil and gas at a discount. There are also ideological differences between the BRICS countries. Brazil, India, and South Africa are democracies, while China and Russia are authoritarian states. This difference in values has led to tensions within the bloc. For example, Brazil and South Africa have been critical of China's human rights record. Section 6. The West pushes back. The West is not simply sitting idly by as BRICS gains power. The United States and its allies are taking steps to counter the bloc's rise. One strategy is to strengthen alliances with countries that are wary of BRICS's growing influence. For instance, the US has been deepening its ties with India in recent years. The West is also trying to limit BRICS's access to sensitive technologies. For example, the US has banned the sale of advanced semiconductors to China. The US is also pressuring its allies to adopt similar restrictions. Another strategy is to use debt diplomacy to undermine BRICS's influence. The West has provided billions of dollars in loans to developing countries. These loans often come with strings attached, such as requirements to implement economic reforms or to distance themselves from BRICS. Section 7. BRICS, Asymmetric Warfare. The BRICS countries are aware of the West's efforts to contain their rise. They are responding by using a variety of asymmetric strategies. One strategy is to build up their own technological capabilities. For example, China has been investing heavily in artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Another strategy is to forge closer ties with countries in the global south. The BRICS countries have been providing aid and investment to developing countries. They have also been vocal in international forums in support of the interests of the developing world. The BRICS countries are also using their economic clout to advance their interests. For example, China has been using its Belt and Road Initiative to finance infrastructure projects in developing countries. These projects are helping to boost China's economic and political influence. Section 8. The Future of Global Power. The rivalry between the West and BRICS is still in its early stages. It is too early to say which side will ultimately prevail. However, it is clear that the global balance of power is shifting. The West is no longer the only game in town. One possible scenario is that the world will move towards a more multipolar system. In this scenario, power would be more evenly distributed between the West and BRICS. No single country or group of countries would be able to dictate the terms of the global order. Another possible scenario is that the rivalry between the West and BRICS will intensify, leading to a new Cold War. In this scenario, the world would be divided into two competing blocs. This would be a dangerous and unstable situation. Section 9. A New Era of Geopolitics. The rise of BRICS is a sign of a changing world. The global balance of power is shifting, and the West is no longer the only game in town. The rivalry between the West and BRICS has the potential to reshape the global order. It is a rivalry that will have profound implications for the 21st century. The rise of BRICS is a reminder that the world is becoming increasingly complex and interconnected. The challenges facing the world today, such as climate change, pandemics, and terrorism, cannot be solved by any one country or group of countries acting alone. The West and BRICS need to find ways to cooperate if they want to address these challenges effectively. The future of the world order is uncertain. However, one thing is clear: the rise of BRICS is a major geopolitical development that will have a profound impact on the 21st century.